Should the Memphis Grizzlies look to trade Jaren Jackson Jr. post Ja Morant? This all came about after Rich Paul went on a podcast and said if he was in the Lakers front office, he would look to trade Austin Reeves for Jaren Jackson Jr. because he believes it brings the Lakers more balance. Now, we'll say it would bring the Lakers more balance, but I don't think this trade is something the Lakers should entertain at all, as Austin Reeves is a 26 points per game scorer this year, sharing the same backcourt with Luka. He was well on his way to being an all-star this year before the injury, and they do need more balance, though. But this would be something that comes after LeBron, in my opinion, and maybe they secretly hope he retires this year so they can look for more of a balanced approach. They need a big-time power forward center option to, help the balance. Like Rich Paul said, Jaren Jackson Jr. would be perfect for the Lakers in that element, but trading Austin Reeves for him is not something that should occur. And keep in mind, Jaren Jackson Jr. has played half of the amount of games he played last year. His win shares last year was 6.4. So realistically, it should be at 3.2 this year to be on that pace. And it's at 1.6. The Grizzlies have had a stink on them all year with this jaw stuff. And Ty Jerome is yet to make his team debut. They just don't look as formidable as they once did a few years ago when they had Dylan Brooks and everything. And the energy was all there with the Grizz. Jaren Jackson Jr. is set to make $50 million a year for multiple years after this season. It actually is $35 million a year this year. Then it ticks up to the 50 range. And that's a lot of money for a team that'll be on the back end of the play-in, or maybe not even in playoff contention starting next year. And the Ja Morant package doesn't seem like it's going to be too crazy. They might get Tyler Hero and Simon Fontecchio, maybe an Emmanuel Quickly package with Toronto or something. But depending on what occurs, they're not going to be much better without Ja. It would just be kind of a reset. And with that being the case, they might as well look to trade $50 million a year of Jaren Jackson Jr. if they're not going to be competitive anytime soon. I think there's some interesting options out there. As I just mentioned, Toronto, if they don't get Ja, or if they do, they could be an interesting team. Brandon Ingram could come back to Memphis. He's dating Glorilla. That could make sense. But imagine a defensive duo of Scotty Barnes and Jaren Jackson Jr. with Colin Murray Boyles in the mix. Now, Brandon Ingram's mid-range game, if his scoring ability is better than Jaren Jackson Jr.'s from a certain point of the court and up. So this could limit some of their, long middies efficiency and stuff like that. Jaren Jackson Jr. can still shoot the ball, don't get me wrong. But from a defensive standpoint, this could make Toronto a juggernaut, and they could just build around that. Atlanta maybe could be in the conversation, or Orlando if the Banchero Franz Wagner thing doesn't continue to progress. Maybe there's some type of package to be dealt there. The Lakers, if they figure out a way to get Jaren Jackson Jr., maybe the Grizzlies are so willing to get off of the $50 million that it doesn't cost them too much, but some salary relief and a couple of late firsts because the Lakers will be a playoff team. So I think there's some interesting options out here. I definitely think the Grizzlies should be open to trading Jaren Jackson Jr., but then again, he's former defensive player of the year. He does so much. He can guard 1 through 5.